Testing, testing. One, two, three, four. How you doing? Good morning. Here we are. Bit of a grey day where I am. Wonder what it's like where you're at. Obviously, we're global, so um, I don't know what it's like in Florida. Don't know what it's like in California. But pop it in the chat if you're watching from the Sunshine State. Is that Florida? Is that Florida? Sunshine State? Might be. I think it is. Yes, good morning. Grey here, but it is now October. It is October, and autumn is finally upon us, and we're working towards figuring out how we're going to be how we're going to achieve much in in the next year, aren't we? We started last week. We're into week 2 now of me laying out this kind of strategy. And we did the year, we did the 10-year plan, didn't we, last week? Pete's got his sunglasses on. We did it's always lovely in Leeds. We did the 10-year plan, and then we did the what we're going to do in a year, and then we had a look at a month, and we focused on motivation and all that kind of thing. And this today we're going to do the week, because the week is a very definable length of time, isn't it? That we're all very sure about needing to kind of figure out what we're going to do and how we're going to do it, because we're trapped in this capitalist cycle of 5 days at work and 2 days off. It hasn't always been like that. We used to just work till the mill owners discovered that when people were just grafting all the time, they would kind of take Monday off, and then remember, well, you may remember. You won't remember because you wouldn't have been alive, because I'm talking about the Industrial Revolution here. For some reason, I don't know how did we get to this. Suddenly the mill owners and the owners of the means of production decided that people would just work a half day on a Saturday, and that's why football matches traditionally start at 3:00, because working class man's game traditionally going back. I know we live in enlightened times, and the women go and the women play and all that kind of thing, which is all good. It's all brilliant. But back in the day that we're talking about here, the fellas would go to the mill, go to the factory, and they'd work on a Saturday morning, and it would 3:00 would give them just enough time to clock off, go to the pub for a pint, and then go to the match. So there you are. That was the life of the working man back in the day. And now, thanks to unions, we only work 5 days a week. And there's this drive, isn't there? And this is an interesting one from a productivity well-being point of view. There's this drive towards the 4-day week. And I've mentioned that whole thing before, that there was this thought. John Maynard Keynes said that the problem we would have in these times is what to do with our leisure time. And we'd only need to work 3 days a week. Do you know what I mean? And we've got completely the opposite problem, haven't we? And I suppose that segues us neatly into thinking about the week, and thinking about what we do with the week and how we kind of structure the week. And the first thing that I want to say, I'm pulling together a whole lot of strands here from because I'm thinking about this whole concept of give me a year for a book, and I'm pulling together a whole lot of strands here from other things that I've said before. And the first thing is, let's shift our mindset. And I did this a while back. Shifted my mindset to acknowledge, for me anyway, and I think this works. And when I say this in live sessions with people, there's a bit of a penny drop moment for a lot of people, that the weekend is there or should be utilized. It is around recovery and recuperation, but it's recovering and recuperating and preparing for the following week, rather than recovering and recuperating from the previous week. And I think that mindset shifts you up a gear in terms of maybe what you do on a Friday afternoon, and I'm going to come to that, and also what you're going to do in terms of thinking about what you need to do and prepare for the week ahead. Or there's this risk that if what we do is think, I'm recovering from last week and I worked really hard, and what I'm going to do now is just slump here in front of the TV, or what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the littlest amount that I have to do. I'm just going to do the very basics, the very fundamentals of what is required of me for the weekend. Then we get to Monday and we're on the back foot already, aren't we? Because we haven't prepared ourselves for the week ahead. And the preparation for the week ahead, for me, the weekend, thinking about the weekend, thinking about this recovery and preparation for next week rather than recovery from the previous week, to me starts kind of late Friday afternoon, and I'll explain that as we go. Because one of the things that some research literature that's out there tells us is that we have a most productive day of the week and a least productive day of the week. And what's interesting is that it says that, broadly speaking, and I'm thinking here about people who work kind of 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, broadly, or Monday to Friday, different hours or whatever, and have a weekend off, that traditional kind of working pattern. It'll be different for other people. When I say Friday afternoon, that's going to be different for somebody who works a different pattern. But there will be a day where you finish that will become your Friday in this kind of scenario, I suppose, and your starting day might be different. So anyway, the literature suggests that our most productive day of the week, when we're doing 9 to 5 Monday to Friday, is a Tuesday, which is interesting, isn't it? Because why is it not Monday? Because you would think, having relaxed, chilled out, done what you need to do over the weekend, you would come back ready for work, prepared to absolutely cane it and nail it on Monday. And what the research discovered, that I'm referring to here, what it discovered was that actually Tuesday was the most productive day of the week. So we need to think about that. And surprise, surprise, what the research found was that the least productive day of the week, as you can imagine, was Friday. And the least productive part of Friday, as you can imagine, surprise, surprise, is Friday afternoon. And closely followed by Monday. The time when people think they get less done is a Friday afternoon, and a Monday. That's really interesting, I think, because what we're trying to do is utilize the time we have effectively. And I've probably said this before, all hours and all days are not created equal, because when we're at a low productivity ebb on a Friday and a Friday afternoon, I think absolutely we should be. Damn right we should be at a low productivity ebb. We've been grafting all week. We've been grafting all week, working hard, and it's nearly time for that rest and recovery, ready for the following week. So yes, we should feel as though we somehow deserve to slide graciously out of the week, and I think we should. I think Friday afternoon should be a time for consideration and contemplation of the week gone by and the week ahead. And this leads me, I think I might have said this last time, this leads me to this little mantra that I have now, which is this Friday is the most important day of next week. This Friday is the most important day of next week. And in terms of escalating your ability to get on with stuff, I think this is probably the key ingredient. This Friday is the most important day of next week, because the reason we lose Monday is we graft and graft and graft till we finish on a Friday, and we work and work and work right up until the end. Then we crash out of the week because it's our weekend. We're going to have it, and we go home and we have a glass of wine and a beer and a pizza, and we think, right, this is my time. But what we've done is we've left everything in utter chaos. We haven't cleaned up and tidied up our external environment and our internal environment. We haven't cleaned all of that up and tidied that up. I think some self-reflection on a Friday afternoon is good. What's gone well this week? What hasn't gone well this week? What do we learn from that? I think you do them in the other order. So I think you start with what hasn't gone well this week. You start with that and think, right, well, was that my fault? In a sense, that thing that went wrong, could I have controlled that even better? And the Stoics, remember, will say that, we have to control the stuff we can and just accept the stuff we can't control. And you often find when something's gone wrong that you couldn't have predicted it, really. You didn't know that thing was going to happen. And no matter how much you'd planned, maybe you couldn't have predicted that. And by analyzing that and thinking about it, you start to think, oh, well, okay, I couldn't have done anything about that. That's fair enough. But sometimes you'll find something that you think, yeah, you know what? If I'd read that thing, if I'd kind of got my house in order, if I'd organized myself to meet with that person, whatever it is, if I'd prepared better for that thing, it would have gone better. So we can learn from that. But sometimes when you analyze those things, you find you couldn't have done any better. And then you need to think about, this is the Friday afternoon scenario here. You need to think about the things that have gone well, and you need to end on the things that have gone well. Okay, because then that kind of settles you and makes you realize that you're good at this stuff. There's this stuff you can do. You are great. You are enough as you are, and you can't do everything, but you can do anything. David Allen. So we have to do that on a Friday, and that's the last thing you do. Before that, the way we get Monday back, rather than crashing out a Friday and then on Monday coming back in and sorting out all the crap that we need to sort out, then getting to top productivity on a Tuesday, we need to sort it all out on Friday afternoon. We're already at a low productivity ebb, right? We're not doing our best work, and we're not doing our best work because we're tired from the whole week. So we're not doing our best work anyway. Okay, so it's no good on a Friday afternoon getting stuck into something deep, getting something stuck into something that's usually problematic, where you've got to use loads of kind of mental energy. There's no point in doing that on a Friday afternoon at all. But what's quite straightforward and easy to do is sit and meticulously work through the following week and think, right, okay, what am I doing? What do I need to achieve next week? What do I need to do next week? Where's that stuff going to fit in? When am I going to do these things? Have I got the time? This is where we can break our tasks down into smaller tasks and think, right, I haven't got time to do that whole task on Monday, but I could do that first step and then do the next step on Wednesday afternoon, and then I could finish it off Thursday morning. So we break it down into tasks, because I don't know about you, but in my diary, there is seldom a whole morning or a whole day to spare. Occasionally in my diary there is, because of the nature of my work, but not all the time. Particularly this time of year, I have to wheedle stuff into hours here, there, and everywhere. Like when you're packing and you put a pair of socks into each shoe, finding that little space to pack more. So we plan, we meticulously look at the week. We make sure when something goes in the diary, have we got all the things that we need? Because one of the reasons that we procrastinate sometimes, or put something off, is because we get to the task that we've decided we're going to do at 2:00 on a Monday, and we realize actually we need a whole load of other stuff first before we do that thing, because we haven't planned properly. We've just thought, I need to write that thing. I'll write it on Monday afternoon, and then we get to Monday afternoon and go, bugger, in order to write that thing, I need these other 3 bits of key information. And where are the people that I need that from? Oh, they're not available. Now I'll have to put that off. Frustrating, stress-inducing. So on a Friday afternoon, we're going to plan the hell out of next week, and we're going to make sure we've got everything available to us for each of those tasks, and we're going to look for all the little gaps to kind of fill them. Because again, I keep coming back to this. I am convinced 100% that people enjoy working hard, not ridiculously hard, not beyond their ability, not beyond their kind of capability in terms of their strength to keep on going, all that kind of stuff, not breaking them, not toxic productivity, none of that stuff. But people like to work hard and see things to a conclusion and be satisfied by what they've achieved. So I think that's really important. So Friday afternoon is crucial for that planning of next week and that bit of self-reflection. But here's the big thing, just as important, maybe even more important in terms of your well-being than having next week all planned, is that there's evidence that if you plan next week meticulously, you can leave work behind at work more successfully. Because while you still know there's some difficult things to do and you're still not really sure how you're going to fit it all in, at least you've got it all in order. You've got it all sorted, and you know what you're going to try to achieve, at least. And there's evidence that says that means you go home on a Friday night, or shut your laptop and walk into the kitchen, you have a better weekend as a consequence of that. There's a couple of other things, because weekends are really important to us. I've got this concept that the weekend prepares you for next week, rather than recovers you from last week. And there's some important things in this. The first thing is plan your weekend as well. So there's some evidence that people who plan their weekends feel better on a Sunday night about the weekend they've had than people that don't plan their weekends, even if they've done pretty much the same sort of things as people who planned. Yeah. So let's say you drift through the weekend. You have a bit of a read of a book on a Saturday morning. You take the kids to the park Saturday lunchtime. You go out for a coffee with some friends Saturday tea time or whatever. You know what I mean? You watch a Netflix movie with your wife or your husband or whatever on the night time, or your partner. You do that. And then on the Sunday, you have late breakfast with the kids, and You have a lovely time around the table, and then then you do you do the housework, and you plan what If you just drift through the weekend doing those things, you look back and you might think, I don't know what I've done with the weekend. Whereas if you plan, this is how easily we can manipulate our psychology. If you plan those things, you get to the weekend and you go, tick all those things off my list. It's just a tiny little psychological shift from what have I done with me weekend? What have I done to tick off all those things? I did all those really cool things. So plan your weekend. And the other thing about planning, when we think about, because now moving outside of the sphere of work, when you think about planning, there's two things that I think it's important to plan on a weekend. And the reason it's important to plan these things on a weekend is because when we are stressed, we don't plan as effectively. When we are stressed, we don't plan aspirationally. We tend to think, I'm really tired, I'm really stressed, I really can't be bothered to think about what exercise I'll do next week or what I'm going to eat next week. So if you wait till a sweet point in your weekend, for me, this usually happens on a Sunday morning. I have just 20 minutes where on a Sunday morning I plan my exercise for the week, and I feel good. I've had Saturday to kind of relax a bit, chill out, and then on Sunday morning I think, right, what exercise am I going to do next week? And there's evidence that you plan more aspirationally and that actually you do those things, or are more likely to do those things. And it's important to get things like exercise into your calendar, into your diary, because just writing it down means that you're more likely to engage in it. How easy can we manipulate our psychology? It pops up in your diary, it pops up on your phone, that one of them alerts. I've nearly everything in my calendar set to alert, pops up and goes, half an hour's time, run. Ooh, okay, do it. And when you're doing this, you've got to trust your present self has to trust your past self. So on Wednesday, I often like to go for a run on a Wednesday because it's middle of the week, I need a boost. I often like to do that. I have to trust on Wednesday tea time, when the last thing I want to do is go for a run. I have to trust my present self has to trust my past self, that my past self organized the best thing for my now present self to do, and just get on with it. Just do it. Don't resist. Just think, right, there's a reason that I've put this in my diary. There must be, well researched, well thought through. Let's just do it. So we do that, and do the same with nutrition. I must admit I haven't done this weekend. Christine's been away. We often do this together. I've been doing other things. The one thing that's really taken me back is I haven't stopped drinking alcohol, but I'm drinking a whole load less. I had 5 days clear of alcohol last week, and over the weekend I've had 1 IPA and 2 glasses of red wine, and I can't believe the amount of energy I've got, the amount of stuff I've got through this weekend, household stuff and project kind of stuff is absolutely amazing. And because Christine's away, that's what I've decided to do. Anyway, what we usually do, or often do, when we're at home on the weekend together, is we plan some meals. And when I say plan, what I mean is we kind of batch cook some stuff. Goes in the fridge. Rice dishes, pasta dishes, maybe a curry. And something we can freeze it, or we can put it in the fridge. Maybe a pasta dish, bolognese kind of sauces, that kind of thing. Some sort of bean thing. We do all of that, and then we don't have to think about food. Because if you have to think about food on a lunchtime, you tend to. I tend to go for a sandwich because it's quick. Whereas if there's salady stuff, nice stuff, in the fridge, I go for that. So there you go. So what? Let's recap. Let's recap. The weekend is available to you to recover for and prepare for next week, not to recover from last week's psychological shift. We're going to shift this most productive, least productive day across the week by utilizing some time on Friday afternoon, maybe half an hour, maybe 40 minutes, whatever, to plan the hell out of next week, because that gets us back Monday. We can start work on Monday and be effective. Plan your weekend. Even if you're just going to put in your calendar the things you would normally do, put it in your calendar. Plan your weekend. Have a look at it at the end of the weekend and go, I've done all that stuff. You'll feel good. And plan the more life-related things like exercise and nutrition and social stuff maybe as well. Plan that when you're in a good spot. Where's your sweet spot in the weekend? And plan that stuff then, because you'll be more aspirational. These things are getting longer. 20 minutes, there you go. But I'm enjoying thinking through how I might turn this into some sort of written strategy that might help people, and so that's really useful. So thanks for listening, everybody, and have good days. And we'll talk on Wednesday about each day and what I think we should do on each day, because we're going to look at how we routinize our days, so that we move through them with minimal mental and psychological effort, so we can keep our mental and psychological effort for the tasks that we're going to do. We'll think about that on Wednesday. Have good days, and I will see you very soon. Take care.